Good morning or afternoon, depending on when you're viewing this slideshow. This is a new unit. This is all about the cell membrane and how things get in and out of your cells. Previously, you've talked a lot about the different cell parts and the functions of the cell part, and this unit is strictly about the cell membrane and the processes that take place to get things in and out of our cells and the ramifications or the consequences of what happens to our cells if too much leaves the cell or too much comes into the cell, and specifically what things are coming in and out of your cell and why that's so important. Um, so if we look at just the structure of the cell membrane, and as I read through this, fill in the blank in your notes, and I'm going to move this down just a little bit down here. The function of the cell membrane, of course, is that it's like a doorway. It just controls what enters or leaves the cell. It separates the cell from its surroundings, and that it protects and supports the cell. This is a picture of a paramecium, which is a single cell protist. And if you wanted to label something, that cell membrane, whoops, we're going to go ahead and go back. It doesn't look like it's going to let me write on this, which is too bad. Let's go back. But if you follow my cursor here, the cell membrane is this outer part of the cell. And all cells have a cell membrane. It's one of those common cell parts. So some things need to come into this particular organism and waste, and other things need to leave. And the cell membrane controls that part. If we look at the membrane structure, and these terms are going to keep on popping up in biology throughout the course of the year. But that membrane structure, that door, that outer boundary is made up of what are called phospholipids. Phospho meaning phosphate, and lipids are things like fats and cholesterols and fatty acids. But you combine the two and you get a phospholipid bilayer, which is a double layer. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But the phospholipid occurs in two layers, as I said. You also have cholesterol, which is a type of lipid which is found in the membrane structure. And that's found between the membrane layers and keeps the membrane fluid or flexible. We often say that the cell membrane is shows a fluid mosaic model. And all that means, the word fluid, we're not talking about like a liquid kind of fluid. We're just talking about that the cell membrane is bendy. It can bend and it's flexible. We also have different proteins. I'm going to move it again. There are certain proteins that are found in this membrane structure. They're mixed in these phospholipids, and primarily they serve as like the doors. Those are the channels, the doors, or the tunnels that are going to allow things to come in and out. Here's a brief picture over here of the cell membrane. You have these phospholipid molecules right here that look kind of funny with the two tails and the head, and then you have these proteins that are going to act as channels or doorways to let things come in and out. So if we want to take a look at the phospholipids in general, again, you have a phospholipid. It's got a polar head and a nonpolar tail. And all that means is polars are hydrophilic. Philic right here means loving, hydro meaning water. So they love water. They are attracted to water. And that's good because we want water coming in and out of our cells. That's very important. So these polar heads are the outer boundary or the inner boundary of this cell membrane. The two tail parts are nonpolar fatty acid tails. And again, looking at what that actually means, they are hydrophobic. Phobic meaning fear, hydro meaning water. Phobic just literally means to repel or get away. So these nonpolar fatty acid tails actually keep water away. So you have the heads that attract water, these tails that repel water, and you might be asking yourself, well, that's funny. Don't we need water to come in and out of your cells? And the answer is yes, you do need water in and out of your cells. The problem is if too much water comes in, your cell is going to explode. And if too much water leaves, the cell is going to shrink like a balloon, like a deflated balloon, and the cell will die. So we have to have some mechanism to not allow everything to come in and not allow everything to leave. The phospholipids, again, creates a bilayer or a boundary or a barrier around the cells and the cell parts. And it looks like this. I'm going to move the recording sign just again. You have a double layer, phospholipids on top, phospholipids on the bottom. This is the outside of the cell. This is the inside of the cell. It keeps water in and it keeps water out. And water can come through these special proteins called aquaporins, which they're just little gaps or tiny doorways that allow water to come in and leave. But the structure is set up to where, again, too much water won't leave or come in. And we have a bilayer, again, if you look at this top picture, we have a bilayer to make sure that water can come in and can leave. That's why it's a bilayer, a double layer of phospholipids. Here's again just a quick structure. You have these phospholipid molecules, a head and a tail. On the outside of the cell, on the inside of the cell, you have these proteins that are going to act as doorways or channels. And you have cholesterol that helps kind of keep this structure kind of bendy, flexible. Here's a more textbook version of what we're going to look like, and that's a little more complicated, and we're not going to but this shows you all the different parts that are involved. We're just going to stick to the phospholipids, the cholesterol, and the different proteins. Different kind of proteins. There's 3 of them that we really talk about. They have different functions, but the first kind of protein is a receptor protein. A receptor receives a signal from another cell, and it tells it to do something, like bring something in or take something out. And this signal molecule just literally fits right in that little gap there, and tells the cell to do something. You also have what are called transport proteins. Transport meaning to move. So these are the different proteins that are going to move things in and out of the cell. Again, if we didn't have these, then things would not be able to come in or leave the cell. It's really important we have these suckers in here. So different kinds of transport proteins. We have channel proteins over here. It's literally just like a tunnel. Certain things act as a tunnel to come in and out, and that's very good. Carrier proteins, the larger molecules might need some help coming in and out of the cell. So the carrier protein, it's like Pac-Man. It goes and gobbles something up on the outside and brings it back on the inside. And the last thing, aquaporins. Aqua meaning water. And so this allows, these are special proteins that allow water to come in and out of the cells. Ion pumps we're not going to get into just yet, but that's another type of protein. So these are all transport proteins. They transport things in and out of the cell. Channel proteins, like a tunnel. Carrier proteins, like Pac-Man, move things in and out. And aquaporins, moving water. We also have glycoproteins. These are cell surface markers, cell-to-cell recognition. They just kind of communicate with other cells. These are all sort of the functions of these type of proteins. Move this just over here just a little bit so we can see. So for transport, for intercellular joining, for enzyme activity, those are the signal molecules. The cell-to-cell recognition, for signal transduction, we're not going to get much into that. And attachment of cytoskeleton and extracellular matrix. We're mostly concerned in this unit about transport and maybe some cell-to-cell recognition. That's what we'll mostly be covering, transport and intracellular joining. I'm sorry, cell-to-cell recognition. If we want to look at some of the membrane characteristics, right? The membrane because it's made of lipids, the lipids move freely around. The membrane is called selectively permeable. It's selective. Not everything can come in and out of the cell. Only certain things can. These membranes, these cell membranes are small. These small neutral molecules can pass easily through those channel proteins, and some of the larger molecules need some help. Right? Some of the smaller molecules like oxygen and carbon dioxide can go through the transport proteins. or I'm sorry, the channel proteins, and some of the larger molecules need help. Things like sugar, glucose, sodium, hydrogen, water need some help, so they pass through special proteins like carrier proteins or aquaporins. So that concludes our information about the cell membrane. Here's just a quick picture again of what the cell membrane looks like. It's a double layer of lipid molecules, and it is a flexible or fluid, and there are different proteins that allow things to come in and out of the cell. If you have any questions, please feel free to see Mr. Matthews, but this concludes the podcast on cell membrane and the structure of it.